We're going to look at adding and subtracting fractions. So far we looked at multiplying and dividing, and now we're going to look at this. So first thing you need to know when adding and subtracting fractions. You can only ever add or subtract when your denominators are the same. So if we look at the first example, we have 5 as a denominator. We can go ahead and add them because the denominators are both the same. So when we are adding fractions, your denominator will stay the same in your answer, and then you're just going to add together your numerator. So 3 add 1 is 4. So your answer here is 4 over 5. Always double check, make sure it's fully simplified, which it is, so we're just going to leave our answer as 4 over 5. If you look at our second example here, we have 5 and 3 as our denominator, so we can't add just now. We need to sort this out and make our denominators the same. So to do that, think about your 5 and your 3 times table, and we're trying to find the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple of 5 and 3 is 15. So we're going to have 15 as our denominator. So we now need to find equivalent fractions. So we're going to change this 4 over 5 to have 15 as a denominator. So we think, how have we got 15 from 5? Well, we've times it by 3. And whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do at the top. So 4 times 3 is 12. And then for our second fraction, how have we got 15? Well, we've times 3 by 5 to get 15. So whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do at the top. So 2 times 5 is 10. Now we have our denominators the same, so we can go ahead and add them together. Your denominator will stay the same, so it's 15 on the bottom, and then on the top, 12 add 10 is 22. Double check, is it fully simplified, or is it an improper fraction, which is, it's top heavy. So we need to change this into a mixed number. So 15 goes into 22 once, so 15 is going to be left on the bottom, and we're going to have 7. So 1 and 7 over 15 is your final answer. So on to the third example, we're going to be subtracting this time. We've got 7 over 9 subtract 1 over 3. So we're going to create two fractions. We need to make the denominators the same. We cannot subtract when your denominators are different. So we need to think about your 9 and your 3 times table and find the lowest common multiple. So what is the smallest number that is in both the 9 and the 3 times table? And it's actually 9. Okay, so our first fraction, because we've got 9 as a denominator, we don't change that at all. So, oops, no. Okay, we're not going to change that at all, and we're just going to have 7 over 9. And our second fraction, how do we change a 3 to become a 9? Well, we times it by 3. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do at the top. So we've got 3 over 9. And then you can just go ahead and subtract. As always, your denominator will stay the same. And then we just subtract the top to get 4. Make sure it's fully simplified, which it is, and that is your final answer. So something to note here, and what some people sometimes get confused with multiplying and dividing, is when you are adding and subtracting, you can only add or subtract when your denominators are the same, and in your answer it just stays the same as well. Whereas multiplying and dividing, we were multiplying the denominators, but try not to get confused with that. Okay, our last example, we're going to do an example where we have mixed numbers. Okay, and as when we are multiplying and dividing, we do want to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions to start with. Okay, remember how we do that? We're going to do 3 times 4, which is 12, and then add on the 3 to get 15, and your denominator stays as a 4. And we're going to do 1 times 3, which is 3, add on the 2, which is 5, and your denominator stays the same. So now we're going to head and add these. Our denominators are different, so we need to find an equivalent fractions. So think about your 4 and your 3 times table. What is the smallest number that's in both of these? Your lowest common multiple is 12. How have we changed this first fraction, this 4, to become a 12? We've times it by 3. So whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do at the top. And then how have we changed the 3? We've times it by 4 to come to 12. So whatever you do at the bottom, you have to do at the top. Okay, and now we just go ahead and add them. Your denominator will stay the same, and then you add your numerator, 65. Now we want to change, it's a top-heavy fraction, so we're going to change it into a mixed number. 12 goes into 65 times with 5 left over, and your 12 stays the same on the bottom, and that is your final answer. So things to remember here: when you're adding and subtracting, you have to make sure your denominators are the same before you start adding and subtracting, and always make sure your answer is fully simplified.